Buddhism is most commonly associated with the Tibetan and Chinese regions of the world, in terms of contemporary practice. Nonetheless, it is prudent to explore the religion's deeply rooted, rich history in numerous other parts of the world. Afghanistan is one of the many countries whose vital influence in the development of Buddhism has been vastly overlooked. Experts such as Dr. P. Verhagen have emphasized the importance of manuscripts from Afghanistan for the understanding and study of early Buddhism. At one time, Afghanistan was a centerpiece of Buddhist culture and thought, at the very heart of an entirely Buddhist empire. In investigating Afghanistan's rich Buddhist heritage, it is crucial that we explore its origins, its influences, and its downfall. Afghanistan functions as an ideal midpoint and geographical centerpiece of Asia. This designates the region as a medium between the north and south, and east and west, making it a prime route for trade throughout Asia. The result of Afghanistan's geography and the various trade routes was the creation of a great forum for many diverse civilizations. Traveling merchants exchanged goods to be transported across the continent. However, in addition, they brought with them the great cultural influence. Aryan, Greek, Kushan, and Buddhist peoples shared independently rich cultures to create an entirely unique Buddhist tradition in Afghanistan. It was through this sharing of ideas that Buddhism was first introduced to the Afghani region. The most prevalent example of Afghanistan's immense geographical utility would undoubtedly be the Chinese Silk Road. The Chinese Silk Road helped to build a foundation for modern trade and globalization, while simultaneously bolstering the growth of extraordinary civilizations in Egypt, China, Rome, and Persia. Afghanistan was essential to the route's success as it facilitated trade between India, China, and the West. Other than economic gain, trade provided the Afghani region with the unique benefit of many diverse cultural influences. Along with merchants came traveling monks sent to spread Buddhism throughout the continent. Additionally, those passing through merchants and travelers later enabled the expansion of Buddhism to their native countries. From these points, we may conclude that geography was essential not only in the spread of Buddhism, but in the creation of an entirely unique Buddhist tradition. Though Buddhism may have first been the gift of economic and geographic circumstances, it is undeniable that Ashoka the Great was truly responsible for Buddhism's eventual popularity and domination in Afghanistan. Ashoka conquered a vast portion of the known world, spreading Buddhist ideas throughout his empires. Still, it is critical we acknowledge Ashoka was not born into a Buddhist tradition. Instead, this was the result of a unique set of circumstances leading to his eventual realization. The early portion of Ashoka's reign as Indian emperor is most often characterized by conquest and significant bloodshed. Through conquest, Ashoka amassed a great empire spanning from Afghanistan and Persia into the west to Bengal and Assam in the east. Ashoka reigned over most of India, yet he remained hungry to expand the Mauryan Empire and dominate his region of the world. Finally, Ashoka sought to conquer Kalinga, a state on the eastern coast of India. Uncommon in this time period, Kalinga was known for its overwhelming pride in democracy and autonomy. Unwilling to surrender, Ashoka's army killed approximately 100,000 people in what was the greatest military invasion in Indian history. After the war had concluded, Ashoka reflected upon his victory while exploring the territory that was now his. The great conqueror found himself surrounded by death and destruction, all of which he was responsible for. Despite his aspirations and apparent military triumph, Ashoka is said to have cried out, "What have I done?" Apparently, Ashoka was haunted by the destruction he had created in Kalinga and sought enormous change. It is said that it was at this moment, upon returning to his capital, Ashoka found solace in Buddhism. In addition, legends tell of another significant factor contributing to Ashoka's monumental conversion. Though accounts are hazy and based more on legend than historical fact, a Mauryan princess, Queen Devi, gave birth to a son after fleeing in fear of execution. Ashoka had executed her husband, his brother, and she would likely have faced the same fate if she had not fled. This son is said to have been raised and educated by Brahmin priests, and his mother observed the Buddhist faith. Years later, Ashoka encountered the boy. Ridden with guilt, he chose to take the boy and his mother into his own palace, establishing a Buddhist presence within his own dwelling. These two happenings became a tremendous turning point at which Ashoka morphed from a ruthless emperor to a pious and moral leader of the very first Buddhist empire. From this moment, Ashoka adopted a policy of non-violence concurrent with Buddhist theology. One may argue that Ashoka embraced an entirely virtuous approach in accordance with Buddhist teachings toward his responsibilities as ruler, making him the very first Buddhist empire. Ashoka's own edicts, recorded on monuments throughout his empire, illustrated his new Buddhist approach. He stated, "All men are my children. I am like a father to them. As every father desires the good and the happiness of his children, I wish that all men should be happy always." These principles came to be the backbone of Ashokan Dharma, which Edward de Cruz elucidates as religion to be used as a symbol of a new imperial unity and a cementing force to weld the diverse and heterogeneous elements of the empire. From this, we may infer that Ashoka attempted to use Buddhism as a unifying force, as a means to strengthen and rally his people beyond faith in a single belief. What makes Ashoka significant far beyond his revolutionary approach as emperor was his pivotal role in actively striving to spread Buddhism throughout his own empire and the world. This also further exhibits Ashoka's very genuine dedication to the faith. The Third Buddhist Council of Theravada Buddhism was held in Paliputra, sponsored by Ashoka, with the ultimate goal of eliminating corruption and fraudulent monks. As a result of this council, Ashoka launched an historic campaign to offer the enlightened teachings of Buddhism to the entire world. Monks were dispersed throughout the known world to spread Buddhist teachings. Accurate accounts of this campaign have identified 9 countries Ashoka sent missionaries to, including Gandhara, as well as modern-day Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Greece. Finally, we see it was at this moment Buddhism first took a noteworthy stronghold in Afghanistan and throughout the Gandharan region. Still several hundred years after Ashoka first introduced Buddhism to the region, another emperor took power with the ultimate goal of advancing the Buddhist religion and establishing it as a dominant force. In the 2nd century AD, Kanishka took the throne of the Kushan Empire and sought to spread knowledge of the religion and expand Buddhist influence throughout his territory. Convinced of the realism and practical nature of Buddhism, Kanishka adopted the religion. He became a staunch promoter of Buddhist art and culture, as well as a key element in the religion's spread. Kanishka did so by first establishing Afghanistan as a cultural centerpiece for Buddhist thought. Kanishka declared 2 capitals, both of which were in the region of Afghanistan and Pakistan. First was Kapsi, in close proximity with modern-day Kabul, which served as his summer home. Kapsi was celebrated for its abundance of viharas and statues throughout. Most notable of these was Shalokia, a monument designed and built by his Chinese princess being held captive in his court. The second of these 2 capitals was Purushapura, modern-day Peshawar, which served as Kanishka's winter home. Purushapura, too, was adorned with monasteries and stupas, the most famous of which is Sangarhana. This Sangarhana was constructed with a 150-foot stupa, considered to be an astounding architectural feat for the time. Kanishka built monasteries and stupas in these strategic locations with crucial purpose of solidifying the capitals as strongholds in Buddhist culture. Kanishka hoped to mark these 2 capitals, leaving a lasting Buddhist influence that could not be destroyed. In addition to these places of worship, Kanishka ensured the construction of such religious monuments throughout his empire. Transforming Afghanistan into a centerpiece for Buddhist culture was a crucial condition in the spread of the religion to China and Mongolia, thus certainly making this Kanishka's most valuable contribution to Buddhism. Brought about by countless trade routes, Afghani culture was tremendously impacted by Hellenistic as well as several other foreign traditions. The Afghani people utilized elements from various foreign styles, adapting them to function in accordance with their own needs. One result of this immense foreign influence in Afghanistan was the birth of a Greco-Buddhist art form, which dominated Afghani culture for centuries. The 2 customs, Afghani and Greek, first united between 250 and 130 BC in the Greco-Bactrian kingdom, now found in modern-day Afghanistan. Greek influence is entirely visible in examining Afghani art, which in essence became a hybrid of many styles, creating a unique Buddhist perspective. Greek tradition would imply a strong sense of realism, which is undoubtedly apparent in the Greco-Buddhist representations of the Buddha. Traditionally, the Buddha had not been explicitly depicted at all. Even so, Greco-Buddhist art embraced a new approach. Rather than having the Buddha's presence subtly implied, the new Afghani tradition would portray the Buddha in his human form. Similar to the manner in which Greek gods had been